Welcome to my podcast, You Are More. I'm your host, Amy. And as always, I'm excited to be here with you today. Hey, just a quick update for those of you who've been following along on my mom's progress. We're grateful. She is progressing. She's making great strides. The doctors and the nurses and her entire care team are blown away by how strong she is. So she's walked through surgery. We're on the other side of that. We're in the recovery phase, and she's going to be getting out of the hospital soon. But just want to let you know how appreciative we are for all the prayers, all the support, all the people that have come around our family over this month. The whole entire, basically, month of August so far has been really intensively involved with my mom and getting her whole. And guess what I think? I honestly believe with all my heart she's going to come back stronger and better than ever, and that she's going to come back with such a fire and such a passion, and will create so much more impact than even what she's made in the past. I mean, I'm like, this is going to be her best decades are ahead of her. And I know that confidently. So thank you for the people that have cheerleaded us on, loved us, supported us. It's meant the world. We appreciate you. Now, I want to talk about, I'm always talking about the needle movers, the lever movers, the things that literally drive success, the things that create opportunity, the systems, the techniques, all of the thoughts, how you think about things, right? And today I want to talk about just the bare facts. I walked through a situation the other day where I was literally blindsided, and I felt I had someone who I'd worked with for a long time, who I held dear in my heart, who literally questioned everything about everything that I do. It set me back, took me into a spot of questioning and rethinking. And here's what I can tell you. We're all going to walk through times when what we do isn't going to sit well with other people. You're going to walk through times where you're going to make decisions that are what you need to do, that are not going to, people are going to question, what are you doing? What are you thinking? Why are you doing that? I've had many people say, Amy, what is all this podcast you're doing, the speaking you're doing? I'm going to be speaking for John Deere here in a few weeks. I've done it a few times over the last month. And they're like, why? What qualifies you? And here's what I can tell you. You just have to keep doing the next thing. Just keep knocking on the door, and doors of opportunity are going to open to you. I'm in the real estate business. I'm in the serving human being business, right? I'm in the, let me tell you that you can live a life that's greater than what you're living. I'm in a, let me encourage you that there's more for you, that God has greatness for you, that your life is not meant to be played small. That's the business I'm in. So whether that looks like I'm in the real estate field, if it looks like I'm speaking, if it looks like I'm working on a book, I am in the lifting of another human being space. Let me encourage you. Let me lift you. Let me show you your greatness. And guess what that comes with? Arrows from the enemy to shut you down. Arrows from the cheap seats, where people will sit in cheap seats where they've not accomplished much. They haven't done much, and they'll shoot their fiery darts of words at you to criticize you, to knock you down. The enemy's intent in your life is to always have you be questioning, have you have self-doubt. His attack is always on your self-image, your self-esteem, your self-confidence. That is his number one play. It's his number one play. Because if he can get you out of confidence, if he can get you out of a good self-image, if he can get you questioning, he can shut you down. So it comes with a thought. And oftentimes it comes through an unsuspected source. It could be a family member. It could be a dear friend. It could be a great client of yours, an unsuspecting source that could be accessed that literally says something to you that just knocks you down about 10 pegs. The number of times that you're going to have to spend going back to your purpose, going back to encouraging yourself in the Lord. Yesterday, I had one of those moments where I was blindsided with some criticism, and it came from a spot where I was just not suspecting it at all. And it hurt me, it hurt me bad. And I sat there, I was in a really bad headspace, wow, what the heck? And it wouldn't have been as big of a deal as it was, except for we get weary, we get tired. I've been dealing a lot with my family, with my mom, and there's just a weariness that can happen. And then when someone comes in and just punches holes in your sails again, that you never would suspect would do that, I'm telling you, that blow can be devastating. Some people in life will take those blows and they'll sit with those words and they'll eat those words and they'll chew on those words and then they'll stop. I sat with those words. I chewed on those words. I ate those words. I wrestled with those words all night long last night, all through the night. And I have an Oura ring that even told me I didn't sleep much. I was very restless. I was going over those words that came from that blindsided me. I went over those words and I'm like, you know what? This morning, I'm like, I gotta spit it out. I gotta spit it out. I'm just doing what I'm called to do on this earth. And it might not look like what everyone else's life looks like. I'm just doing the next right thing. And it might not look like it fits the prototype of the typical life. But I can promise you, if you're going to fulfill the promises of God, if you're going to fulfill what you're on this earth to fulfill, you're going to have the same resoluteness on the inside. And you can get just like blown away by a shot from the dark that catches you off guard. And it typically is when you're tired and when you're exhausted and you're emotionally tired. That's when the enemy comes in. And it comes in like in such a slick, shiny, loving, huggy way with a knife in your back. And I can tell you that it is all part of the process. It's all part of it. It's all part of the sifting. It's the sifting. Do you really believe in the message you carry? It's the sifting of, do you believe what you're doing is really what you're supposed to do? Is the message that you have really your message, or is it just that for the fleeting moment? Is who you are and what you're doing and who you are becoming, is that what you personally feel is what God has you on this earth to do? You have to be confident in that. You have to know that with everything in you, because you'll be sifted for your message. You'll be sifted for what you carry. You'll be sifted for your lack of conformity to the societal norms. You'll be sifted for it. What do I mean by that? I mean those things. People do not cheer on and applaud and cheer you on if you go and rise above them. They typically don't. It's the rare person that does. And if you find that person, hold them tight. If you find that person, make them your friend. Because there's not many people that'll champion you in life if you're doing above and beyond what they're doing, because it makes them feel so insecure. That's why you have to know in this life, if you're going to fulfill all that God has told you to fulfill, there will be so many seasons that you'll feel like you're walking alone. There will be times when God will bring people around you. You'll have your spouse, your mate, your best friend, whatever, but you'll have a lot of alone times. And I literally yesterday looked around and I said, soul, hope thou only in God. That's all I've got. I have a big God. That's what I've got. I've got a big God living on the inside of me that doesn't necessarily conform to the natural way we do things. God's vision is bigger. The way he sees things is bigger. He's a God of the generations. He's a multi-generational God. He's a God that land and homes and business matter. Like God, like land and property matters to God. If you walk through the Bible, he was all about go and possess, go and possess, go and possess. Everything in life wants to tell you, go be small, go home. You're not this, you're not that. Why don't you fit into the norm? You make me feel uncomfortable. And I can tell you, if you can get quiet enough to get into that still, quiet voice, that call will be, come on, come on, come on. Take the next step. Come on. I was reading this, and it's in Exodus 17. And it says this, and Moses cried unto the Lord, saying, what shall I do? What shall I do? And the Lord said unto Moses, go on. So Moses did so. Guys, there's so much power in your ability to go on. But many sit in their hopes, their dreams, their books, their businesses, their podcasts, their families, their best body type, all gets planted on the sidelines because some person sitting in the cheap seats took a pot shot at you. It hit at the exact right spot and it knocked you off your course, and you lost a year, you lost 2 years, you lost 5 years, maybe you lost a decade sitting on the sidelines because of what someone said to you. Guys, words matter. They're real. They have power, and they can come from great places and they can come from really painful places. But I can tell you that the impact of the words that I had yesterday really devastated me. And you're like, oh, well, where are they? No, they devastated me. And when I started to think about it, it's like, okay, it's the perfect timing. I'm moving forward on a lot of things. Yep. Of course. Yeah. Let's stop. Let's just sit on the sidelines. Let's just do nothing because everyone doesn't understand what I'm doing. Guys, here's the thing. I have to answer to one person. It's to myself in the mirror and to my God when I get to heaven. And if I need my life to say, I did everything I could possibly do. I did everything within my ability to live life on full throttle, to play full out, to literally throw it out there and impact in a positive way as many human beings as possible. Yeah, what was the cost? The cost was the pot shots. The cost was the lonely nights. The cost was just doing it afraid. The cost was all the impact of all the thoughts of you're not good enough. Why are you doing that? Who do you think you are? It's all of that. Sometimes that can just wear you out and you just have to go back to your spot. You have to get quiet with yourself and just you have to hear that small, still voice. Go on. Yeah, but what do they think? Go on. What if they don't want to be friends with me anymore? Go on. What if this costs me some really valuable relationships? Not all relationships are meant to go the distance. Some are just for seasons. Not that many are lifelong, but many are for seasons. But this is going to be so embarrassing. Like, people are talking about me? Go on. I'm scared. Go on. Really? Take the next step. Put yourself out there. Go on. Go on. Go on. This podcast is for anybody out there that's sitting on the sidelines, that are literally limping along because of the words that someone has spoken over their life, because of the words that someone has said to them, about them, gathered a group of people about them, and they just couldn't handle it anymore. And they sat down wounded and said, yeah, they're right. What was I thinking? And I'm saying to you, get up and go on. Get up and go on. Here's what I can tell you. If people aren't saying things, if things aren't if you don't ever get pot shots from the sidelines, if you don't ever get that, most likely it's because your impact, you're not doing anything to make a wave. You're not doing enough to create impact. You're not doing enough. So if you're like, I don't even know what you're talking about, Amy, well, then maybe you have to look at that as well, because that's also a problem. Everyone just loves me. What the heck? I don't have anyone who doesn't like me. Well, you probably, that's awesome. But if you start to literally move into what you're supposed to do on this earth, I promise you the limitations, the lack, the thoughts, the way of doing things, as that starts to become broader and broader and broader, oh, you'll see what people start to talk and start to say. And you have to just know that it is an indicator light that I'm actually doing something. It's an indicator light that that my life counts. And it is also an indicator light of where your greatest strength is. What they attack you on is also your greatest strength. It's the thing that makes you the most valuable. It's that thing that makes you most valuable that they'll attack the most. Maybe it's your voice. Maybe it's the way you sing. Maybe it's the way you play a sport. Maybe it's the way you run your business. Maybe it's the way your family is. I don't know what it is. But if you're doing anything in this world that has any sort of substance to it, if it matters, you're going to have critics and you're going to have criticism. I just don't want pot shots from the cheap seats to get you off course and stop your life. And they definitely have the power to do that. So think about it. Go back to where you sat down on the inside. Where you sat down, maybe you put your head down and said, man, I think I'm out. I don't think I'm going to do this anymore. I'm just going to back up and I'm just going to go be like everybody else. Think about where you laid down that dream. Think about it. go back to that moment and start to break the power of those words off of your spirit and off your mind. And I would just physically say that. I would say it out loud. I break the power of those words. I pull the arrow of those words of criticism off of my spirit. I pull them off of my mind. I pull their impact down, and I render them powerless to impact my future. And I move forward with great confidence into all that I'm supposed to be on this earth. Get up. Just like God said to Moses when he was like, what do I do? And Moses cried. That's a desperation unto the Lord, saying, what shall I do? And the Lord said unto Moses, go on. And so Moses did so and changed generations after generations after generations. Go on. You don't know that you're not the chain breaker of the generational patterns in your family. You don't know that you're not the spark plug that lights up some great, great opportunities, that changes and revolutionizes whatever industry you're in. You don't know what you carry, but I can tell you the level of attack that has come against you is an indicator light that what you carry is great. Who you are in this earth is great. If there was no battle, it's because you're not carrying any goods. When you have battle, it's because you're equipped with so much. You carry and contain so much. And the greater the battle, the greater the fight, the greater the resistance. Take it as an indicator light and say, guess what? You're not stopping me. I'm going to just keep going and going and going. Talk to yourself, sing to yourself, speak to yourself, encourage yourself. You have to encourage yourself. The Bible says, encourage yourself in the Lord. Encourage yourself. Sing to yourself. You have to have good self-talk, or you will not fulfill what you're supposed to fulfill on this earth, because it takes that kind of commitment. It takes that kind of courage, and it takes that kind of knowing on the inside. I'm on this earth for more. So no matter if I walk alone or if I walk with many, if I walk in plenty or if I walk in lack, if I walk with greatness or if I don't, I know that I'm on purpose, and this season is all working for me. It's building foundations for me. It's building it and opening more and more doors for me. Doors might be closing, other doors are opening. It's the law of the vacuum. One door closes, it leaves a vacuum, another door has to open. So when you literally know that things might not be working the direction, it might be more difficult than when you think. You might be beating your head like, I've tried everything. I've done everything. Just know when one door closes, God is going to open another door, and that other door is full of provision. And that other door just leads to the next step of another door. And as you just keep taking the next step, taking the next step, taking the next step, your future self will thank you so much. Your future generations will thank you so much for not stopping, for not sitting on the freaking sidelines because you got sidelined by cheap seat talkers. Guys, take it from the source. Cheap seat talkers. Ugh. I hate it when I take hurt, or I stop, or I pause because someone just hit me from the cheap seats that doesn't go out there and ever put themselves out there. I'm telling you, the cheap seats. There's lots of cheap seat talkers. Don't listen to them. Take the exact same words that God said to Moses, and he said, go on. Go on. You must go on. Your future self, your generations will all be so grateful that you did. So know this. I'm always going to encourage you, cheer you on. I hope that you found today to be inspirational to you, motivational to you. I hope that you found it, maybe it shifted your perspective. Maybe it gave you the thought like, I got to get up. I got to dust my dreams off again. I got to go on. I got to go on. So if this meant something to you, if it did something to you, if it helped you, if it encouraged you, please share this with a friend. Give it a 5-star review, like it, share it. As always, I'm grateful for you guys. And just know this, you truly are more. You're more. You are more. I just want to say it over and over and over again. You are more. Be blessed.